Temporary exhibition, Shelter Wellbeing. Second floor of the Abbot's Granary. The second floor is a space open to the visitor. It invites you to stop by the art installations, watch films, observe nature outside the window, and the sculpted animals in the hollows and burrows. Rest and get creative. This floor features only new works that have been created especially for the exhibition Shelter Wellbeing. Right at the entrance to the exhibition room is a work by Ludomir Franczak entitled Nomadic Museum of Migration. It was created for an improvised organ concert by Karol Mosakowski at St. John's Church in Gdańsk. The objects we will describe shortly were animated by Franczak during the event. Nomadic Museum of Migration is a set of objects in the form of a model measuring 85 by 80 centimeters, which are presented on a makeshift table supported by two wooden trestles. On the tabletop are two sets of items, the model and a glass cabinet that conceals the objects, possible exhibits for the Migration Museum. All the objects can be stored in a wooden case, the largest part of which is the platform for the glass cabinet, and the rest is the base for the model. The possibility of packing everything into the wooden suitcase is connected to the metaphor of the necessity of escape, of being a refugee, and emphasizes the impression of temporality. A model created from microscale components depicts a desert landscape, the result of war destruction or climate change. An empty space takes up the center and right side of the installation. Close to the left edge of the model is a solid shape of block of flats with brownish exterior. On the pavement near one of the walls of the block are piled travel suitcases. They seem to have been abandoned in a hurry. In the corner of the model is a thinned lawn. The block is separated from the rest of the show. In front of it is a mesh fence topped with a barbed wire entanglement. The fence goes up to a blue barrack with two white shutters. Next to the barrack is a pile of rusted iron objects and worn tires, and little further on a small patch of deciduous forest. This three-element composition separates the left edge of the model from the rest of the composition. Just outside the forest is a representation of another barrier. 3 concrete spans of high wall have been placed there. This wall is under construction. It only stretches for 1/3 of the depth of the model. Next to the set spans, there are 3 pieces that are yet to be assembled. Lying on the ground, from a distance, they may look like bed frames without mattresses, because the base of the span resembles a furniture headboard. This concrete fence marks half of width of the model. Everything on the right is a scene of desolation. It is a desert with a single skeletal tree standing in it, and at the far right edge of the model the following are portrayed. A small fragment of a damaged house structure, dried out shrubs, which are reminiscent of entanglements, and a riverbed devoid of water, at the bottom of which is a simple wooden boat. Under the right edge of the mock-up, a piece of blue foil symbolizing water has been placed. The uttermost section of the model can be folded into a suitcase, with metal clasps visible on their sides. The open lid of the suitcase serves as a small pedestal on which the objects from the Nomadic Migration Museum are displayed. They lie, like treasured museum objects, beneath a glass cabinet. These include cords tied in knots, a fragment of a broken mirror, a piece of burnt wood, an old-fashioned non-working watch, a fragment of slightly burned plastic bottle, a bunch of keys. Next to the tabletop with a model is a wooden case with a screen and headphones. There you can watch fragments of the concert and see how Ludomir Franczak animated the model. Close to the Nomadic Museum of Migration, a work by 2 Norwegian artists, Inga Skolnes and Eva Balu, is displayed. It is entitled Enclosed. The pieces are 2 carpets made from the wool of Norwegian sheep. Carpets are quite thick, with a height of about 3 centimeters each and length of about 230 centimeters and width of about 160 centimeters. The carpets have a highly geometric, symmetrical shape. It is superimposed, an oval with 4 pointed corners and an oblong rectangle placed one on top of the other. The effect of this combination of figures is similar to the design of elaborate early modern cartouches, that is, decorations of architecture and engravings that refer to coat of arms shields. The carpets lie one on top of the other, the upper one being dark grey, the lower one lighter and a little larger. Both have a slightly matted, rippling texture of felted wood. The piece as a whole rests on a 15 cm high, vibrant pink platform that replicates the sophisticated shape. One can lie comfortably on the carpets and feel the texture of the felted wood and its intense, slightly pungent smell. The person who chooses to relax on the wool will see an alloy print on silk hanging above the ceiling, a reproduction of painting from the collection of the Department of Ethnography. It is a depiction of Mary with baby Jesus encircled by lamps. Additionally, the installation is complemented by the sound of wool felting recorded during the artist's work on the object. On the wall to the right of the entrance door, we see a small mural, an artistic lettering by Linn Halvarsrod. The inscription occupies a rectangular area that measures 185 centimeters high by 120 centimeters wide. It is made up entirely of red and pink capitals, letters that look as if they have been scratched into the snowy white structure of the granary wall. In the upper part between the letters there is more space. They are further apart. There is an inscription, "Be kind," with kind spread across a semicircular ascending line. Below it is the word bikini and the artist's name, Linn Halvarsrod. But in this part of the mural, the letters are strongly elongated, squeezed together. They are close to each other, so that the inscription loses its legibility. Be Kind, Bikini is the title of the poem written by Halvarsrod. The poem can be heard on headphones in two versions, on each pair of headphones in a different one. In the English version, recorded by the artist herself, it is a story filled with surprising sounds and voices. In the Polish version, the recording is more toned down. It tells a story of hope for a better life, for an improvement in one's fate despite the odds. Right next to the mural and the poem, recordings on the effects of heat on well-being and health are presented. Due to the climate crisis, temperatures in cities are rising. This is particularly dangerous for older people. On the screen, we will see a film about how senior citizens in Madrid are coping with the heat. The film was made in a documentarist reportage style. There are mostly shots of silhouettes of portraits of people speaking to the camera. The footage was produced as a part of the project by researchers from Adam Mickiewicz University in Poznań called Embodying Climate Change, transdisciplinary research on urban overheating. These recordings are not the only video installations in the second floor room. Here you will also find recordings of the performative activities conducted during the project Shelter, Climate, Migration, Heritage, such as the recording of a dancing tour through Oliva Park entitled Choreography of Plants by Ula Zerek, Magda Jędra and Anna Steller. The artists have created a dance tour of the park through which we can become more alert to nature and to our bodies. Wandering among the trees, the dancers interact with their form and beauty. In the park alley, their bodies become intertwined like tree branches. In the depth of the room, there is an installation inscribed within thick wooden pillars. The almost square area between the ceiling floor and the pillars was filled on both sides with a wooden construction, and the walls created by this were covered with clay. Irregular holes were cut in them. The entire structure resembles a vistula escarpment with bird hollows. In the bottom part, the hollows openings are smaller and black-filled. The holes that are a bit higher accommodate 5 screens on each side. The screens display photos from the ethnographic archive showing the past life of the inhabitant of Pomerania. All photos are in black and white. They include portraits of women in folk or everyday clothing, doing chores such as weaving baskets or cooking. There are also photographic records of such objects as the wooden attribute of the carol singer, which resembles the jaws of a turoń, a horned black creature. Among the shifting photographs, One can also spot the carol singers themselves, pictured during performances against the backdrop of the whitewashed huts, such as man with a sheet thrown over his head and a scythe in his hand. Other photographs show a site of a wooden village windmill. In between, we see photomontages made by photography students of the Academy of Fine Arts Gdańsk inspired by the archival materials. Sometimes it's difficult to tell which photographs are authentic and which are artistic transformations. In the top hall, there are also two rest areas. The first one, just above the stairs, is a zone prepared specially for the youngest visitors. Here we find felted stone cushions and 3 brown seat swings suspended just above the floor. The 3 cocoons invite you to hide in them and swing peacefully to the rhythm of your own needs. They are like little hollows in the tree trunks, rocked by the wind, cozy, warm, and safe. The second resting space has been arranged in the back of the room, close to the installation of the Vistula escarpment. It is a large nest cushion surrounded by the debarked branches, a reminder of the bird inhabitants of the park and the wooden sculptures that hide in many places in the exhibition. On the other side of the Vistula escarpment, there is a space specially designed for school groups, tables creating the U-shape. This space encourages creativity and discussion about the themes covered in the exhibition, with workshops taking place there. In the 4 recordings with audio description components, we have not told you about all the works made for the exhibition Shelter Wellbeing, nor about the permanent exhibition held by the Department of Ethnography of the National Museum in Gdańsk. This is why we invite you to visit the museum.